wakes before the sun can rise, with worries in his chest. 1,000 things he never says keep stealing all his rest. The roof needs fixing, rent is due, the children need their bread. But he still wears a quiet smile with thunder in his head. Nobody asks him how he feels, they ask him what he brings. They measure him by what he pays, not by his broken wings. He learned to swallow every storm and call it being strong. But silence turns a man to stone when he holds it in too long. Told him long ago, a man must never fall. So he became the kind of wall that had to hold them all. But walls get cracked by heavy rain, and pressure leaves a mark. That's why some men look calm in light but disappear in dark. Still he rises, still he moves, still he faces one more day. With tired hands and empty eyes, he somehow finds a way. Not every hero wears a crown or hears the people cheer. Some just keep the lights turned on and hide another tear. That's the weight men carry, quiet, deep and cold, strong enough to carry homes, too tired to be told that the world still needs them standing, even when they bleed. So they bury all their breaking under duty, smoke and need. That's the weight men carry, heavy on the soul, paying debts with sleepless nights, trying to stay whole. And if the sax should cry tonight, let it speak for them. For every man who lost himself, just trying to be a man. Men don't break loud, they disappear in little ways. A quieter voice, a tired smile, 1,000 empty days. They stop replying quickly, they sit longer in the car. They stare into the distance like they're talking to a scar. The world keeps saying be a man, but never shows them how to carry all that pressure without slowly breaking down. So they become the shelter, though the roof is caving in, and call it strength to hide the storm that's tearing through their skin. Some find peace in whiskey, some in work that never ends. Some pretend they're doing fine in front of wives and friends. But every man has midnight thoughts he never brings to light. That's why the blues was born, to speak for tired souls at night. So if you see him quiet, don't assume his heart is cold. Maybe he has carried things too heavy to be told. Maybe all he needs tonight is music soft and slow, and one reminder he is human underneath the road. Men don't break loud, they rust in the rain. They smile through the pressure and dance with the pain. They carry the family, they carry the shame, then wonder in silence who carries their name. Assume his heart is cold. Maybe he has carried things too heavy to be told. Maybe all he needs tonight is music soft and slow, and one reminder he is human underneath the road. Men don't break loud, they rust in the rain. They smile through the pressure and dance with the pain. They carry the family, they carry the shame, then wonder in silence who carries their name. Men don't break loud, they fade into smoke, still paying the price for the vows that they spoke. So let the sax cry. Words cannot go, for men don't break loud, they just break slow. They just break slow. Nobody claps for fathers when they leave before the dawn, when their backs are full of yesterday and their hope is almost gone. They kiss the kids while they're still asleep, then walk into the cold, trading pieces of their peace for the family they must hold. He skips the things he wants the most so everyone can eat. He hides the holes inside his shoes and pain inside his feet. The world may call it normal, but the truth is deeper still. A man can lose himself each day while paying every bill. Sometimes he sits inside the car before he walks inside, just to breathe away the pressure and bury wounded pride, because the house needs him gentle, though the world has made him rough. And the hardest thing for tired men is acting like they're enough. He may not say I'm breaking, he may not ask for grace, but every line of sacrifice is written on his face. So let the trumpet mourn tonight for every silent king who gave his youth to build a home and never asked a thing. Nobody claps for fathers, but fathers still provide. They carry storms in silence and keep the pain inside. They turn their dreams to shelter, their sweat to daily bread, and fight 1,000 battles that never will be said. Claps for fathers, but heaven knows their names. The men who built through pressure and walked through quiet flames. So play that blues a little slower, let the saxophone weep for every tired father who still stands on tired feet. stopped explaining pain to those who never understood. Stop chasing fake approval from the people who never would. He learned that peace is power when the room is full of noise. And grown men lose themselves when they keep acting like boys. He built a private kingdom in the silence of his mind, where betrayal had no doorway and weakness stayed behind. Not cold because he hated love, but wise because he learned. Some people only gather near the fire when it burns. He reads the faces carefully before he gives his trust, because loyalty means nothing when ambition turns to dust. And every handshake in this world can carry hidden knives. That's why quiet men survive, by studying people's eyes. He does not shout his plans aloud or beg the world to see. He moves like midnight over glass, controlled and quietly free. The strongest war a man can fight is not with fists or guns. It's standing still inside himself when every feeling runs. This is the quiet rebellion. No screaming in the street, just discipline and silence, and fire beneath the feet. A man who owns his temper can never truly thaw. He may not rule the whole world, but he can rule his soul. This is the quiet rebellion, a calm and heavy heart. The war is not around him, the war is in his heart. So let the dark chairs carry the things he cannot say. A quiet man with purpose is dangerous in his way. a clean suit Monday morning, but the soul inside is torn. A man can look expensive and still feel completely warm. His shoes are polished nicely, but his thoughts are full of rain. Nobody sees the battlefield beneath the golden chain. He learned to shake the proper hands, speak with careful grace. But every room of powerful men had danger in its face. They smile like saints in daylight, then they bargain in the dark. And every dream he tried to build came branded with a mark. Success became a colder room the higher that it climbed. He gained the world in pieces, but he lost a little mind. The mirror shows a gentleman, the eyes reveal the cost. A suit can hide the weather, but it cannot hide the loss. Still he walks with measured steps, still he keeps his shoulders square. Not because the load is light, but because the load is there. And if the night should ask him why, he never lets it show. He'll say a man must keep his form, even when the blood runs low. He's got a suit full of storms and a tie around his pain, a pocket full of silence and a heart full of rain. He looks like he owns the room, but the room owns him too. That's the price of being strong when nobody checks on you. Made of stone, he can stand inside a crowd and still feel completely alone. So let the piano whisper, let the saxophone warn, for every man still standing in a suit full of storms. Whiskey cannot pray for you, but sometimes men pretend that burning in the throat can make the memories end. He sits beneath a yellow bow that flickers like his faith, trying to forgive himself for dreams he couldn't say. He never meant to grow this cold. He never chose the night. But pain can turn a gentleman into a quiet fight. The people that he loved the most became the ones he feared. Not because they hated him, but because he disappeared. He keeps a photograph folded in his wallet like a wound of a younger man who still believed that peace was coming soon. But years went by like cigarettes, each one turned into ash, and every promise made to God became another glass. Still somewhere beneath the smoke, a small hope stays alive. A tired man can lose his way and still learn to survive. So let the old piano play like mercy in the room, and let the saxophone remind him dawn is coming soon. Whiskey cannot pray, but lonely men still pour, trying to find the strength to face one morning more. They don't need judgment tonight. They already know their sin. Sometimes a broken man just wants to breathe again. But music understands the trembling of the soul inside a grown man's hands. So let the midnight blues carry what he cannot say. A man can still come home even after losing his way. on the factory roof, machines crying all night long. A man wipes sweat from tired eyes and hums a broken song. His hands are rough from earning bread, his back is bent with years, but he still keeps a steady face to hide his private fears. The boss man counts the hours, but he never counts the cost of every father losing sleep and every dream he lost. The paycheck comes, the paycheck goes, the debt remains the same, and still he signs his name each week inside the working game. He had a dream when he was young to travel far away, but children came and rent was due, so dreams learned how to wait. He doesn't call it failure, no, he calls it sacrifice. A man will trade his wings away to give his children life. So when the whistle blows at dawn, he walks into the rain, not proud of all the pain he feels, but proud he still remains. His dignity in tired hands, there's honor in the grind, and every honest working man deserves peace of mind. Rain on the factory roof, blues in the working soul. Men keep carrying the world while the nights grow cold. Nobody writes their names, nobody knows their scars, but heaven sees the labor underneath the stars. Rain on the factory roof, let the saxophone cry. For every man who gave his youth just to help his family survive. The world may never thank you, but the truth still stands tall. A tired man who keeps going is a hero after all.
There were wolves at the table, wearing brotherhood like clothes. They laughed when wine was flowing, then they vanished when it froze. He learned that loyalty is tested when the money disappears. And many men sell friendship just to quiet private fears. He gave too much to people who would never bleed for him, then wondered why his candlelight was growing very dim. A good heart without boundaries is a feast for hungry men. That's why he built his walls and never opened them again. He does not hate the world now, but he watches how it moves. Every favor has a shadow, every kindness has a groove. He listens more than talking, lets the foolish show their hand. For silence is a language that the dangerous understand. Now every room he enters, he can feel the hidden game. The envy dressed as laughter, the respect that smells like shame. He keeps his whiskey near him, and his secrets even near. A man who learned from betrayal does not need to disappear. There are wolves at the table, there are knives behind the bread, there are smiles full of hunger, there are deals among the dead. So sit calm, speak slowly, never show them all your cards. The man who masters silence can survive among the sharks. At the table, but the wise man does not run. He studies every shadow, and he never shows his gun. Let the saxophone grow darker, let the bass walk through the night. A quiet man with patience always knows when to fight. Always knows when to fight. Beneath the black hat and the coat, there's a man nobody knows. A story full of heavy roads and winters without snow. He learned to keep his face composed when everything went wrong, because the world respects a man
doesn't cry too long. He does not speak of losses now, but they live inside his walk. Every silence has a graveyard, every smile avoids the talk. The past still rides beside him like a shadow on the wall, but he keeps moving forward because men are taught to crawl. Some call him cold, some call him hard, some say he has no heart. They never saw the gentle parts that life had torn apart. A man becomes a fortress when the world invades too much, and even those who love him sometimes cannot reach his touch. But under all the smoke and steel, beneath the bitter art, there's still a tired human soul protecting what's left of heart. So play the blues with dusty hands and let the night confess. The strongest looking men can hide the deepest loneliness. Beneath the black hat, there's a storm inside. A man who lost his innocence but never lost his pride. He carries every goodbye like a bullet in his coat, still walking through the darkness with fire in his throat. There's a heart that learned to freeze, a soul that paid for wisdom down on wounded knees. So let the guitar answer, let the saxophone cry low. There's more beneath a man than the world will ever know. The marriage house is quiet now, though everyone is home. Two people share a kingdom, but still feel alone. The children laugh in other rooms, the dishes fill the sink, and he sits beside a woman he no longer knows how to reach. He loves her more than words can hold, but pressure changes tone. She thinks he doesn't care enough, he thinks he fights alone.
The bills became a third voice, always shouting in the hall. And small misunderstandings slowly grew into a wall. He never meant to seem so cold, he only got so tired. The man she married years ago is buried under fire. He misses how she looked at him before the weight arrived, before survival made them strangers trying to survive. But maybe love is not the flame, maybe love is staying near, even when the night is heavy and the road is full of fear. So let the saxophone speak gently where their wounded words have failed. Some houses need more mercy than the stories ever tell. In the marriage house, there are rooms full of pain, unspoken disappointments, and love beneath the rain. A man can be devoted and still not know the way to say I'm only tired, I'm not walking away. In the marriage house, two hearts can lose their sound, but love can still be living, even when it can't be found. So play the blues softly, let forgiveness enter slow. Some families are fighting storms, that outsiders never know.
Phone keeps ringing like a curse. Another debt collector calls. He stares at cracks upon the paint and shadows on the walls. The children need new shoes again, the fridge is looking bare. But a man must find a miracle from somewhere in the air. He's not lazy, he's not weak. He works until he aches, but every time he climbs a step, another burden breaks. The world will call him failure if the money doesn't show. Never mind the 1,000 storms he faced where no one else would go. He used to dream of better things, a home with peace and space. Now he dreams of one full month without financial chase. There's a kind of tiredness that sleep cannot repair, when your mind keeps doing numbers and
a prayer.
Still he stands beside the window while the cold rain paints the street, telling himself tomorrow might bring something bittersweet. A man may bend beneath a debt, but hope can still remain. And sometimes faith is simply waking up to fight again. Debt collector blues calling through the night. A man keeps counting problems underneath the broken light, but he still keeps moving, though the road is rough and long. There's dignity in fighting, even when the money's gone. Debt collector blues, let the guitar moan slow for every man who's drowning but refuses to let go. The world may judge his pockets, but never knows his fight. A broke man with courage still has value in the night.
One rumor moved like wildfire through the people that he knew, and suddenly the man he was became somebody new. They never asked his side of it, they never checked the ground. They only heard a bitter word and passed the poison round. A reputation takes a lifetime, but a whisper takes a day. And once the crowd has chosen guilt, the truth feels far away. He stood there with his hands held clean, but nobody could see how quickly judgment chains a man before reality. His mother called him crying, his friends became unsure. The woman that he loved the most went silent at the door. And even when the truth came out, the scar had found its place, because innocence can win the case and still lose half its face. So we learned to walk more carefully, to speak with measured breath, because the world can bury men before they meet their death. Not every prison has a wall, not every sentence ends. Sometimes a man must rebuild life with very
very few real friends. False accusation blues, a heavy kind of chain. When your name becomes a courtroom and your soul becomes the pain, let the saxophone cry justice, let the piano tell the truth. Some men lose their whole world to a lie that had no proof. False accusation blues, dark smoke in the air. People love the scandal, but they rarely love what's fair. So if you find the truth late, do not whisper when you speak. A man wrongly condemned needs more than silence from the weak.
He kneels beside the bed at night, but words are hard to find. A concrete prayer inside his chest, too heavy for his mind. He doesn't ask for luxury or diamonds in the rain. He only asks for enough strength to carry all this pain. He's not a saint, he knows it well. He's made mistakes before. He's slammed some doors, he's raised his voice. He slept on cold floors. But every flawed and tired man still needs a little grace, especially when the weight of life is written on his face. The city hums outside the glass, the sirens fade away. Another man is asking God to help him through the day. Not with fancy holy words, just breathing tired eyes. Sometimes prayer is only, Lord, don't let my spirit die. And maybe heaven hears the men who never speak in church, the ones who build with broken hands and hide how much they hurt. So let the organ warm the dark, let the saxophone reply. A concrete prayer can still be heard
man with heavy shoulders, asking strength from pain. He may not know the scriptures, he may not know the song, but he knows he needs mercy just to keep moving on. Concrete prayer from a tired soul, trying to keep his family, trying to stay home. Let the blues rise slowly, let the night grow thin. Sometimes God meets broken men where the jazz begins. He could have walked away sometimes, no one would ever know. From the pressure in the kitchen to the debts that wouldn't go. But leaving was too easy for the promise that he made. So he became the kind of man who stayed and stayed and stayed. He stayed when love was difficult and conversations burned. He stayed when every lesson hurt and every dollar turned. He stayed when pride was tempting him to vanish in the night. Because children need a father more than pride needs to be right. Soul is lost. Some men choose responsibility, though it demands a cost. And every morning that he rises with the same old heavy chest is proof that tired love can still be giving out its best. Walk him home, let the trumpet bless his name. A loyal man may feel unseen, but loyalty remains. There's honor in the daily work and trying through the ache. And sometimes love is simply all the exits you don't take. But he still remains holding up the fence. grew heavy and the doors open wide. So let the sax play mercy, let the blues explain. There is glory in endurance that the world may never name.
Cold dinner on the stove again. He came home after 10. His woman doesn't ask him much. She's tired of asking when. He takes his shoes off quietly and sees the children sleep, then stands there in the kitchen with a loneliness so deep. He wanted to be more at home. He wanted to be near. But every year got heavier and dreams became unclear. She thinks he chose the money over love that needed time. He thinks he chose survival, but he cannot make it rhyme. The silence in the hallway says the things they cannot say. How marriage can grow lonely when the bills get in the way. He warms the food and eats alone beneath the yellow light. A husband can be faithful and still lose his home at night. But somewhere in the bedroom there's still love beneath the cold, still memories of younger days before the world took hold. Maybe tomorrow he will speak before the distance grows and tell her, I am trying more than anybody knows. Cold dinner on the stove, warm tears in the chest. A man comes home exhausted, trying to give his best. But love needs more than money, and bills don't care for hearts. That's how many good homes slowly come apart. Piano play low for husbands who are present but too tired to show. May the saxophone bring mercy, may forgiveness find the room before another family
become silence too soon.
He's a boxer without a ring, no crowd to call his name. He fights the rent, the debt, the doubt, the pressure and the shame. No gloves upon his tired hands, no lights above his head. Just another morning rising from a half-forgotten bed. Life keeps throwing heavy blows that nobody can see, and still he keeps his guard up for the family he must lead. There's no medal for surviving when your spirit feels so thin, but every day he doesn't quit, another round begins. He learned to breathe through disappointment, learned to stand through fear, learned that grown men lose some fights but still must persevere. A man is not the absence of the cracks inside his soul. A man is what keeps walking when the world demands control. So let the guitar growl tonight like thunder in his veins. Let the saxophone bend sorrow into something that remains. He may not win by morning, but he's still inside the fight. And sometimes that is victory for men who face the night. He's a boxer without a ring, fighting bills and broken dreams. Nobody sees the bruises hidden underneath the seams, but he keeps his hands steady and his heart behind the wall. A man can lose some rounds and still not lose it all. He's a boxer without a ring, no anthem and no crown, just a soul that keeps returning every time life knocks him down. Let the drums roll softly, let the blues guitar sting. There's honor in the struggle of
the boxer without a ring.